Welcome to this rapid revision session on increasing settlement on the plains. So what factors affected settlement of the West? There were economic factors. These are related to work and money. Military factors, particularly in relation to the American Civil War. And there were social and political factors too, anything that relates to the law and to people. So you could create a mind map of factors that affected settlement of the West and how various things either affected or solved the problems of plains farming. You could produce this as a mind map if you wanted to. However, if you're going to do this independently, and you're lucky enough to have one of the Pearson Edexcel textbooks on this topic, you could refer to these page numbers. If not, we'll go through some of the basic information now. Firstly, the Homestead Act of 1862. The Homestead Act of 1862 provided 160 acres of land for a $10 registration fee. This encouraged thousands of people to give plains farming a try. They needed to successfully farm the land for 5 years to keep their claims, however. Also, moving on to the plains. White settlers feared Indian attacks, and Indians hated settlers digging up the land and disturbing the buffalo. Who can blame them? The removal of the Indians to reservations allowed settlements to increase, but obviously at the expense of the Indians. The building of the Transcontinental Railroad also increased settlement. Railroad builders got 10 square miles of land for every mile of track that they built, which was then sold on to the settlers and ranchers. Trains allowed the efficient movement of people and goods onto the plains, which helped solve many of the problems and make farms more profitable. However, not all migrants taking advantage of the Homestead Act were actually from the eastern USA. Millions of English, Irish, Dutch, German and other settlers flocked to the nearly free land in the hope of a better life compared to what they'd been used to at home. Let's have a look at the military factors now. Again, those are page references for the Edexcel textbook. The passing of the Homestead Act in 1862 was at the start of the American Civil War. The devastation wrought on the Confederacy in the South and the Reconstruction era rebuilding of their economy away from slavery increased the desire for some to move away from the plains. You don't need to know much about the American Civil War for this course, but understand that southern states had formed their own United States, if you like, called the Confederacy. They had done so on the basis of many reasons, but particularly because they wanted to keep slavery on which their economy depended. So when the Civil War was won by the Union and the Confederate States rejoined the Union, they needed to be rebuilt economically away from slavery. That's what we mean by that. Also, with the end of slavery, the enslaved people who had been freed needed work. So freed black enslaved people fled racism in the former Confederacy. They used the Homestead Act to make their own claims. The exodusters, which we'll cover in a future video, are one example of this. But also former soldiers who needed work. Former soldiers on both sides of the Civil War were in need of homes and work. Homesteads provided both. But what about technological developments in agriculture? Like many other countries, the USA was rapidly industrializing in the 19th century. New inventions helped solve the problems of plains farming on the plains. We'll have a look at some of these in greater detail in a future lesson too. In 1854, wind pumps for water were introduced. 1874 saw the introduction of barbed wire to protect crops from animals. And in 1875, the sulky and sodbuster ploughs for dealing with the heavy root-filled soils of the plains were also introduced. So we can see how all of these things either addressed the problem on the plains or increased the settlement of it. Some final points then. Increased settlement of the plains was encouraged by social and economic factors such as the Homestead Act, immigration and moving the Plains Indians onto reservations. Military factors with the end of the Civil War and slavery. And economic factors such as the railroads and new inventions. In future rapid revision sessions, I'll look at some of the points that have been raised in this video in more detail. However, for now, you could always go back in the video and make a screenshot of that completed mind map and use it as your own printed handout for a bit of revision or as the basis of your own work. I hope this has been useful to you. If it has, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. If there's a topic that you're desperate for me to produce a video on, please put it in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching.